Hello and welcome to the Elementary Math Early Release Day Teacher PD for kindergarten. Here is the placard that grounds all of the work we do here in CMS. It helps to make sure we are all aligned in the core beliefs of the district's mission, vision, goals, and guardrails. Our training today is aligned to the academic pillar of excellence. My name is Hannah Woods, and I am one of the 6 elementary math curriculum specialists with the Learning and Teaching Department here in CMS. Here are our session norms. Take a moment to read these to yourself. Our learning outcomes today are to understand the story of an upcoming unit, explore tasks and the vertical progression of learning, learn how to navigate to the PLC unit deep dives, and gain knowledge about the purpose of the updated district provisioned resources. Throughout our time together today, you can expect to get into the math and navigate through the CMS resources that you will use on a daily basis. Let's start with a kindergarten activity. In your note catcher, you will sort these shapes. Take a moment to complete this task in your note catcher and then return to this video. In Unit 3, students are introduced to geometric shapes. Students may initially associate names of shapes with everyday objects. For example, a rectangle is a shape that looks like a door or a window. Students need to see and interact with many examples of the shapes to accurately relate what's in their environment to the geometric term. For instance, students may say that only one of these 2 shapes on the screen is a triangle. The isosceles triangle sitting on its base, because they may have seen examples like it being referred to as triangles. They may not have considered a scaling triangle sitting on a vertex as a part of the same shape category because in their experience, a shape like it hasn't been associated with the term triangle. Students explore differences in shapes and use informal language to describe, compare, and sort them. Circle, triangle, rectangle, and square are 4 shapes that students study and name. They will not describe what makes each shape until grade 1, but students also learn a key idea that congruent shapes are still the same even if they are in different orientations. Later in the unit, students use pattern blocks to make larger shapes. They reinforce their counting and comparison skills as they count and compare the pattern blocks used to create larger shapes. Students also use positional words, above, below, next to, beside, to describe the shapes they compose. You just completed Activity 2 from Lesson 5 within Unit 3. What this activity helps to do is allow kindergartners to see that many different looking triangles are still in fact triangles. Kindergartners do not need to memorize geometric definitions to demonstrate an understanding. In this activity, students are sorting and showing that they know any 3-sided shape is called a triangle, regardless of how fat or skinny or the orientation of the shape. Looking ahead to grade 1, Unit 7, Lesson 6, Activity 2, students identify defining and non-defining attributes of squares and rectangles. Students draw rectangles and squares as well as non-examples of rectangles and squares. This is an extension of the kindergarten experience of naming, describing, building, and comparing flat and solid shapes. The content students will be learning in Kindergarten Unit 3 directly supports the learning first graders will do in Unit 7, that shapes have defining and non-defining attributes. Now we will look at a brief overview of the story of Unit 3. Unit 3 introduces students to foundational geometry through familiar 2D shapes. They learn to identify, compare, and sort circles, triangles, rectangles, and squares, recognizing that shapes remain the same even in different orientations. Students use everyday objects, pattern blocks, and positional words to explore, build, and describe shapes while reinforcing counting and comparison skills. Here is a quick reminder of how to access the PLC Deep Dive video. We recommend that you plan a day with your PLC in the near future and use this trail using Launchpad, Elementary Math Rocks, Kindergarten Curriculum Supports page, and then Unit 3 to get to the PLC Deep Dive video, as well as a Unit 3 Lesson 10 video, should you be interested in watching that. Another place to find this exact same information is on slide 2 of your Unit 3 curriculum guide. You will notice the PLC Deep Dive and Note Catcher, the lesson recording, as well as links to family information and weekly tidbits. Let's take a look at the Unit 3 curriculum guide for kindergarten. It is important to utilize the curriculum guide to access all unit resources. There are several overarching components that are consistent throughout every unit and grade level in the curriculum guide to support you as you are unpacking the unit. This is a live document, so please always return to it because notes will be added as we receive feedback. Each curriculum guide starts with the title page. This is Unit 3, Flat Shapes All Around Us. Then you will see the Curriculum Supports page, then Standards, Assessment Information, Planning Notes, and Small Groups. Remember, it's a live document, so please return to it in order to read the specific notes for the 25-26 school year. On the front page of Math Rocks are our published release dates, and so you will know when to expect each curriculum guide updated and provided throughout this school year. Now, let's hop straight into Unit 3, Flat Shapes All Around Us. Today, we are looking through Kindergarten Unit 3. The curriculum guide has been developed to lead you and your PLC through a unit unpacking. Earlier, I mentioned the unit unpacking video. This video and note catcher is found in the curriculum guide on slide 2. Remember to plan some time with your PLC to run through the Unit 3 PLC deep dive and unpacking note catcher. You will also notice the weekly tidbits, any lessons that may be recorded from the unit from the first year of implementation, as well as a family video and family letter, and a bit.ly in case you'd like to provide that to families through Parent Square. You'll also notice the course guide linked here, as well as a link straight to the curriculum supports page for kindergarten that houses this same information as well as every single unit's PLC deep dive. As always, we start with the North Carolina Standard Course of Study. The North Carolina Unpacking document should be used to build a deeper understanding of the North Carolina standards for each unit. You have this linked on the 3rd page in each curriculum guide. You'll know that you're on the most updated document if it says revised June 2025. The standards are listed for the unit. It's best practice to review the standards as well as use the unpacking document provided by the state. Unit 3 is called Flat Shapes All Around Us. If this is not your first year teaching kindergarten, then you are very familiar with kindergartners and that they learn about flat and solid shapes. The overarching goal of this unit is for familiarity with flat shapes. That means students will not cover all components of all geometry standards. Said differently, students will only cover some of the kindergarten geometry standards within this unit. They will cover NCK G1, some components of NCG2. Hopping down to the supporting standards, they will also cover G4, some components of G5, and G6. As you can see, they will not cover every component of every kindergarten geometry standard within this unit. This unit is focused on flat shapes. After standards is assessment information. You can use the tabs at the right-hand side of each of the header pages in order to quickly pop you down to the section that you're trying to find. There is a student-facing assessment linked here, as well as the teacher guidance or assessment rubrics. There is also a rating guide to support you as you identify the rating for the entire standard for students. There are two checklists in Unit 3. Feel free to click on these and familiarize yourself, or pause the video to dig in deeply and take the student assessment for Unit 3. After the assessment section are the planning notes. You will first notice the unit overview, and then each section summary or each section overview. We have also updated the way in which we communicate the centers for the unit. You will see the centers linked as well as the stage that will be used or stages that will be used within this unit, and a button to get you to a center document that provides information about the standard alignment of every single center. You will then see the kindergarten and first grade math lesson flow before continuing on to the daily lesson notes. Here you will find the lesson, the slides, the student workbook pages, and practice problems and cooldowns if a cooldown is needed for the lesson. You will also see the alignment to the North Carolina Standard Course of Study. As you know, every lesson has been updated to align to the North Carolina Standard Course of Study as well as the student workbooks. You can find the student workbook here, which includes practice problems and cooldowns. But you can also find practice problems and cooldowns linked in the resources section in case you want a quick glance at one page as opposed to the entire workbook PDF. This is a quick view for you to see what is needed in preparation for your upcoming week. You will see the student learning target, the purpose, as well as the materials to prep. You'll also notice how many lessons are within each section and the dates of the unit. Once you read through your daily lesson notes, you can get to the small group section. The small group section was created in order to provide big ideas that students might be having difficulty with, supporting content and resources, as well as extending the current content resources for students who have already demonstrated mastery of that big idea. One misconception you may notice during Unit 3 is that children tend to only see typical forms of each shape. That means an exemplar, perhaps. So that leads to confusion, and that common misconception for students is that turning a shape may change the shape's name. One suggestion or teaching point that can be found in the curriculum guide is to provide varied examples and non-examples. This will help students to understand that attributes of a shape are mathematically relevant as well as those that are not. Showing non-examples and comparing them to similar examples help focus a child's attention on the critical attributes of the shape. It also prompts discussion as to why the shape belongs in a certain category. You can click on the resource here to see a suggested activity for students who are struggling with that misconception. Please reference these slides as you are planning out your 30 minutes of additional small group time outside of your whole group math lesson. And looking ahead, when reviewing the YAG, I wanted to provide a few reminders. There are a couple flex days in Unit 3 at the beginning and at the end. There's intentionally a flex day on November 19th because that is an early release day. November 19th may be a great day for you to plan with your PLC and unpack Unit 4 using the PLC Deep Dive video and note catcher. The MOI is listed as January 16th through January 21st. Unit 4 does not have a student-facing assessment because the standards from Unit 4 will be assessed on the MOI. You can always consider providing activities or tasks from that assessment during your small group time the week of January 12th. Unit 4 resources will become available on October 13th. That means you'll have ample time to plan and unpack Unit 4 prior to the unit beginning on December 9th. Additionally, available every week are kindergarten teacher tidbits. These provide important upcoming lesson planning information, along with just-in-time supports to consider including in your lesson. These can be found in your email and conveniently linked in slide 2 of the curriculum supports page in each curriculum guide. If you are not receiving these in your email, feel free to get to any page 2 of the kindergarten curriculum guides to add yourself to the email list using the Google form in the weekly tidbits box. After administering the universal screener, there are 3 key ways to use the iReady resources effectively. First, students can follow the platform-created learning pathway outside of whole group core instructional time to reinforce current performance levels. The district expectation is that every student completes and passes 45 minutes per week per content area. Second, you can assign lessons aligned to on-grade level standards currently being taught in the curriculum and also to be completed outside of whole group core time. Suggested times for completing activities outside of whole group core instruction include morning work, differentiated core time, flex days, homework, and after-school programs. Teachers and master teachers, you have 2 forms to complete. You have a QR code and a bit.ly on the screen that will have 5 questions to answer, and once you click submit, you will then receive a bit.ly that you must type in a new tab to gain access to the CMS form that provides you your CEUs. Guidance on how to complete the form is on the right-hand side of this screen and is included as an image in your note catcher. Thanks everyone for spending the past 30 minutes with me, working and learning through quarter 2 information for kindergarten math. As always, please let me know if you have any feedback or any guidance that you'd like to provide to help make kindergarten mathematics even stronger here in CMS. Thanks for all you do and have a great rest of your day. Take care.